Hello, welcome to Simple Strategies to Create Your Extraordinary Life. Today, I'm going to talk about something that I don't ordinarily talk about, nor do I ordinarily pursue, but it is one of my intentions for this year, and that is in 2019, I am very committed to making deeper connections in my life, as some of you already may know, and I'm also very committed to having more fun, more joy in my life, and really actively seeking to make that happen. So I could say, as a psychologist, as a life coach, what I see is people wanting meaning and fulfillment and achieving their goals and creating their life vision, and that is of paramount importance. However, I have not seen much emphasis on the idea of creating more joy. And now there's such a great body of research on what makes us happy, not just what is purposeful or meaningful, but what also makes us happy, what lights us up, what really brings us into that place that we probably knew quite well when we were really young. And yet over the years, for some reason, we've left that behind. Maybe we learned early on that that was not an acceptable way to behave, that we were not supposed to. I know I got chastised for being too silly when I was growing up. I would dance around the house and be goofy and make faces and do all kinds of crazy stuff, and that was not okay. And I guess by the time I hit double digits, I really knew that that was not okay. And I stayed much more focused on my work, on piano lessons, on accomplishing tasks. And the idea of play for play's sake was lost in my mind pretty early on. That's not to say I can't rock out and have fun. However, it's not where I go. And for so many of us, the idea of having joyful experiences can sometimes not only not be prioritized, but be considered a waste of time. And what Brene Brown says is that real wholehearted living is about weaving playfulness, this is not a direct quote, into everyday life. And how do we do that? So what I'm recommending here is that we find a way to have more spontaneity, more go for unexpected invitations or experiences and go for the ride, things that you might have said no to because too much time takes you away, and start saying yes. And this is really about play for play's sake, without an end game in mind, without an idea that when I get to the place that I'm done with this thing, something will have been achieved or accomplished. But instead, it's the idea of just letting your mind go into this creative space where you're just doing for doing's sake. And it's so far from wasting time. It's actually been shown that when you play and experiment with new ways of letting go and forgetting about the work and internet for a little while and Facebook and social media, that kind of spontaneity really allows for creative thought. It has a relaxation effect on the mind and body. And because play also involves other people very often, it's a wonderful way of connecting with people when there's not necessarily a goal in mind, but playing a game, playing mahjong or cards or bridge or taking a walk. However you interpret the idea of play, once you start engaging in that, chances are very strong that you'll also be deepening your relationships. And that is the key to health, happiness, and longevity. So the idea of play for play's sake and play in connection with others can have powerful effects on your long-term happiness as well as your health and longevity. It also helps us develop more connection, emotional connection that heals old wounds. Like if we start playing games with people that we might have stuff with, and we just don't even go there, but instead focus in on the playfulness, sometimes it has a very strong healing effect. And it helps us develop a certain kind of social skills, fairness in playing and connecting at a level that everybody gets to have a say or a role. In fact, there's been research done that when somebody's not included in a game, that person experiences physical pain. If, let's say, there are 3 people throwing a ball and then somebody's excluded, that person experiences emotional pain just as if it were physical pain. So what that implies is that when we're not playing and included in playing, we feel a sense of social disconnection and pain. So on the other hand, when we feel included, it's very enlivening and exhilarating, and we often leave feeling a sense of joyfulness that's so deep and so far surpasses anything we could do materially or even experientially, because when we're doing it in connection, that's when we find our deepest joy. So I'm encouraging all of you to find some way to introduce some play into your day as much as you can. I mean, at least for a few minutes of your day, to just introduce the idea that I'm just going to cut loose and do something I don't ordinarily do, maybe. And I just want to add to this that television is not included in this category at all. There's no evidence that television has any, that there's any sense of well-being associated with watching television. So even though you might feel like, no, this really relaxes me, chances are it doesn't relax you in the way that you could by either doing some relaxation, something, or taking a yoga class, or by doing something joyful, which could be a yoga class, or could be being in connection with somebody that you want to become friends with, or want to establish a deeper relationship with, or somebody in your life. That kind of connection really heightens your sense of well-being and has a much deeper effect. The television thing is really not doing anything very positive for you. I could also tell you this, that playing, because there are healing benefits, that when you're happy and when you're joyful, you heal physically better from just being upbeat. And I'm sure some of you know the research of Norman Cousins, who, when he had, I forget what disease he had, but while he was healing, what he did was he surrounded himself with upbeat friends. He did watch movies that made him laugh, and he really surrounded himself in a whole pool of joyfulness. So it can't hurt, and I encourage you for 2019 to have fun. None of us know what we've got in this life, and the one thing we can count on is having each other as much as we can and finding joy together. And that's one way to make sure that you make this year really count and make every day matter, is by not getting just lost in your commitments and obligations and responsibilities, but just find some aimless time to just savor. So that's all for today. I hope you have an extraordinary day, and I look forward to seeing you for the next episode, next Thursday at 12, of Simple Strategies to Create Your Extraordinary Life. Thanks, and bye for now.